because I went through a lot of my life trying to be normal. And like, it was a really big deal for me for a long time that people thought that I was very much so normal. And that bothered me after a while. And I started to feel like people didn't really understand me or see me. And it's like, I wasn't really trying to show anything.
Asking me about secret homosexuality.
So should people be aware cameras are on? Like cameras are on.
Jaden Smith is gay.
The earliest I had seen that word transgender was Baphomet, the transgender.
I don't want to excuse fashion and being eclectic. Something is not right. He's trying to drown himself to be eclectic, but there's something lost in the eclecticness. I can see it.
All right, it looks like Jaden Smith is once again getting people talking, and this time the conversation is bigger than ever. Over the years, Jaden has built a reputation for saying things that challenge traditional ideas and spark debate online. He's spoken publicly about not seeing gender as something limited to only 2 categories, and he's also described himself as gender fluid in the past. Because of those comments, fresh rumors have started spreading across social media, with some people now speculating about what his future plans could be. However, it's important to remember that a lot of these discussions are based on online speculation rather than confirmed facts. Of course, Jaden is no stranger to attention. Whether it's his fashion choices, interviews, or social media posts, he's spent years doing things that stand out from the crowd. Some fans admire that confidence and individuality, while others aren't always sure what to make of it. Either way, people keep watching because Jaden has never been interested in fitting into a box or following the usual celebrity playbook. But here's where the story takes a much more controversial turn. Comedian Katt Williams has made comments that have fueled intense conversations online. According to Katt, the growing number of celebrity children who identify in different ways isn't simply a coincidence. His remarks have led to endless theories, debates, and heated arguments across social media platforms. Some people agree with his perspective, while many others strongly disagree and say there's no evidence to support those kinds of claims. The speculation doesn't stop there. Because Jaden comes from one of Hollywood's most famous families, people have naturally started dragging Will Smith and Jada Pinkett Smith into the discussion. Online commentators have been asking all sorts of questions about how Jaden was raised and what factors may have shaped his outlook on life. Supporters argue that Will and Jada encourage their children to think independently and express themselves freely. Critics, meanwhile, have questioned whether that approach contributed to some of the headlines that have followed the family over the years. As the rumors continue spreading, theories have become more dramatic with every passing week. Some internet personalities claim there must be hidden reasons behind Jaden's public statements, while others insist that he's simply being honest about who he is. The reality is that public figures often become targets for speculation whenever they challenge social norms or choose a different path than people expect. One thing is certain, Jaden Smith knows how to keep people talking. Whether fans see him as a trendsetter, a free thinker, or just someone who enjoys living life on his own terms, his name continues to dominate conversations. And with social media turning every celebrity comment into a major headline, even the smallest statement can quickly explode into a massive controversy. For now, though, separating confirmed facts from internet rumors remains the biggest challenge in this entire story.
Is being yourself.
What a sick, masochistic lion.
The rumors surrounding Jaden Smith have been getting louder, and social media has been working overtime trying to connect the dots. For years, people have pointed to different moments from his public life as evidence that he's been challenging traditional ideas about identity and self-expression. Whether it's his fashion choices, interviews, or public appearances, Jaden has consistently done things that get people talking. One of the biggest reasons these rumors keep circulating is his style. Fans and critics alike have noticed that Jaden has often worn clothing that doesn't follow conventional fashion expectations. While some people see that as creative self-expression, others have viewed it as a sign that he's trying to make a larger statement. In today's celebrity culture, even a single outfit can spark days of debate online, and Jaden has found himself at the center of that attention more than once. Then there are the viral moments that social media refuses to forget. Over the years, clips and photos involving Jaden have been shared millions of times, with internet users analyzing every detail and creating countless theories. As often happens online, a brief moment can quickly take on a life of its own, with people drawing conclusions that may or may not reflect reality. Once a narrative starts spreading, it becomes nearly impossible to stop. Jaden has also made several comments in interviews that fueled even more discussion. In past conversations, he spoke about not wanting to be limited by traditional labels and expressed views that many people found unconventional. One quote that attracted major attention was when he suggested that he didn't want to be defined by standards that existed before he was born. Supporters saw those comments as an attempt to think outside the box, while critics argued they were confusing or difficult to understand. Either way, the remarks generated headlines and kept his name in the spotlight. Another moment that still gets brought up years later was his involvement with a major fashion campaign in 2016. Jaden became part of Louis Vuitton's women's wear advertising campaign, a move that immediately grabbed international attention. Some praised the campaign as bold and groundbreaking, while others questioned its message. Regardless of where people stood, the campaign helped cement Jaden's image as someone willing to challenge expectations and push boundaries. Of course, not everyone agrees on why Jaden has taken this path. Some observers argue that growing up in extraordinary wealth and fame allowed him to experiment in ways most people never could. They believe that being raised in one of Hollywood's most famous families gave him the freedom to explore ideas without worrying about public criticism. Others strongly disagree with that explanation and say it oversimplifies a much more complicated story. Then comes the theory that has generated some of the most intense online debate. Comedian Katt Williams has discussed his personal views about trends in entertainment and celebrity culture, leading some internet commentators to connect his comments to broader theories about Hollywood. These claims have circulated widely online, but they remain opinions and speculation rather than established facts. Even so, the discussion continues to grow, with supporters and critics battling it out across podcasts, social media, and comment sections every day.
20 years ago, I knew that transgenders was going to be a thing. It wasn't because I was a prophet. It's just I had gotten so much information that I understood that things are secular. So I understood that the earliest I had seen that word transgender was Baphomet, the transgender. And so I knew that in the ritual of Baphomet, the transgender, to show allegiance to him, you had to kiss his ass ring.
Really?
And it said both of those things. So I knew that both of those things would become popular.
You don't have to agree with every theory floating around the internet to notice that Hollywood often becomes the center of unusual conversations. One topic that keeps coming up is the number of celebrity families whose children publicly identify in ways that differ from traditional expectations. That observation has led to endless debates online, with people trying to figure out whether there's a meaningful explanation or if it's simply a result of celebrity culture being more visible than everyday life. Some commentators point to statistics showing that people who identify as transgender, non-binary, or gender non-conforming represent a relatively small percentage of the overall population. Because celebrities live under a microscope, every personal decision made by their families receives massive media attention. As a result, situations that might seem uncommon can appear much more widespread when they are constantly featured in headlines, interviews, and social media discussions. Still, that hasn't stopped speculation from spreading. Over the years, various theories have circulated online claiming that entertainment companies, media organizations, or powerful industry figures somehow influence celebrity families. These claims have generated a huge amount of attention, but it's important to note that they remain allegations and opinions rather than proven facts. Despite that, people continue debating them across podcasts, comment sections, and viral videos every single day. One example frequently mentioned in these discussions involves former NBA star Dwayne Wade and his family. Public statements and legal disputes surrounding family matters became major news stories, leading to intense public debate. Different sides offered very different interpretations of what was happening, and the situation quickly became a lightning rod for broader cultural arguments. Because the story received so much media coverage, it became one of the examples often referenced whenever people discuss celebrity families and public identity issues. Whether someone believes these developments are driven by social change, personal expression, family dynamics, media attention, or something else entirely, one thing is clear: celebrity households often become the focus of enormous public scrutiny. Every decision gets examined, every comment gets analyzed, and every disagreement can turn into a national conversation almost overnight. That brings the discussion back to Jaden Smith and his upbringing. Over the years, Will Smith and Jada Pinkett Smith have been very open about their parenting philosophy. Unlike many parents, they publicly discussed giving their children significant independence and encouraging them to make choices for themselves. Their approach attracted both praise and criticism, with supporters calling it progressive and critics arguing that it gave too much freedom too early. Will has previously explained that he and Jada wanted to treat their children with a level of respect and autonomy that they felt was important. According to him, they tried to avoid creating a household based entirely on strict rules and control. Those comments immediately sparked debate, with some people applauding the idea, while others questioned whether children also need firm boundaries and structure to help guide them through life. What's especially interesting is that both Jaden and Willow have at different times spoken publicly about their experiences growing up in the spotlight. They discussed the pressures of fame, the challenges of becoming public figures at a young age, and the unique environment that came with being part of one of Hollywood's most famous families. Those comments fueled even more discussion, as people began wondering whether too much freedom, too much attention, or simply growing up under constant public scrutiny played a role in shaping their perspectives and choices.
You're not a normal human if you can't go out into the world. You and Daddy never told us really what type of world you guys came from.
Yeah.
We just thought that you guys just sprouted up out of the ground and just...
Yeah. Like, really terrible experience. Which is
one of the most talked about parts of the Smith family story involves comments Willow Smith has made about her struggles while growing up in the public eye. Being part of one of the most famous families in entertainment came with opportunities that most people can only imagine, but it also brought enormous pressure from a very young age. Every move was watched, every decision was discussed, and every mistake could become a headline overnight. As Willow got older, she became more open about some of the emotional challenges she faced during that period of her life. In interviews and family discussions, she spoke about experiencing difficult mental health struggles while trying to navigate fame, expectations, and personal growth. Her comments shocked many fans because from the outside, her life appeared glamorous and successful. But as Willow explained, what people see in public doesn't always reflect what's happening behind closed doors. One of the most emotional revelations came when she discussed going through an extremely painful period in her life. Her statements sparked widespread concern and led many people to revisit conversations about mental health, especially among young people growing up under intense public attention. Fans who had followed the family for years were surprised to hear how much she had been dealing with internally, while appearing confident and successful on the surface. The situation became even more controversial because Willow suggested that some of her struggles were not immediately recognized by those around her. That part of the story generated a huge reaction online. Many people questioned how someone could be facing such serious emotional difficulties without others fully understanding what was happening. Others pointed out that mental health challenges are often hidden and can be difficult for family members, friends, and even professionals to recognize right away. As a result, conversations quickly shifted toward parenting, family dynamics, and the unique challenges that come with raising children in the entertainment industry. Critics argued that growing up in such an unusual environment may have created additional pressures. Supporters of the family, however, emphasized that mental health struggles can affect people from every background, and that it would be unfair to place all responsibility on parents without understanding the full situation. The conversation also reignited debates about Will Smith and Jada Pinkett Smith's parenting philosophy. For years, they openly discussed giving their children a significant amount of freedom and independence. Some observers believe that approach encouraged creativity and self-expression. Others wonder whether more structure could have helped during difficult periods. Those questions continue to generate strong opinions whenever the family story is discussed. What makes this topic so powerful is that it highlights a reality many people overlook. Fame, wealth, and success do not automatically protect someone from emotional pain. In fact, growing up under constant public scrutiny can create challenges that most people never experience. Willow's willingness to speak openly about her struggles helped bring greater attention to mental health discussions and encouraged many people to share their own experiences. Years later, those revelations remain one of the most emotional and heavily debated chapters in the Smith family's public story.
Dark music and it was just so crazy, and I was just plunged into this black hole. And I was cutting myself.
What?
Yeah, and doing crazy things.
Really? When were you cutting yourself? I didn't see that part.
A long time ago.
Cutting yourself where?
On my wrist. I mean, you can't even see it, but there's still a little something there, but totally lost my sanity for a moment there.
Wow.
But here's where the conversation takes another interesting turn. When questions about parenting and family dynamics started gaining attention, Jada Pinkett Smith addressed some of the criticism directly. Rather than claiming she had all the answers, she spoke openly about how her own childhood experiences influenced the way she approached raising her children. Her comments sparked a major debate because they offered a different perspective on why certain decisions were made inside the Smith household. According to Jada, many of her parenting choices were shaped by the environment she grew up in. She explained that people often carry lessons, habits, and beliefs from their own upbringing into adulthood, sometimes without even realizing it. In her view, some of the decisions she made as a parent came from trying to avoid repeating experiences she didn't want her children to go through. That honesty caught the attention of many fans, while critics questioned whether good intentions always lead to good outcomes. The discussion quickly became bigger than just one family. Many people related to the idea that parents are often learning as they go, relying on what they experienced growing up. Others argued that every generation faces the challenge of deciding which traditions to keep and which to leave behind. Because of that, Jada's comments resonated with people far beyond Hollywood and turned into a broader conversation about family, responsibility, and personal growth. At the same time, her explanation didn't convince everyone. Some observers felt that parents, especially with significant resources and access to support, should be held accountable for the results of their decisions regardless of where those decisions originated. Critics argued that understanding why a mistake happened is different from excusing it. That distinction became a major talking point as people debated whether childhood experiences can fully explain parenting choices later in life. Supporters, however, viewed her comments differently. They saw them as an example of someone publicly reflecting on difficult experiences and acknowledging that parenting is rarely perfect. Many pointed out that raising children is complicated under normal circumstances, let alone while living under the constant spotlight of global fame. Every decision made by the Smith family has been analyzed, criticized, and discussed for years, creating pressures that most families never have to face. Another reason the story attracted so much attention is because the Smith family has always been unusually open about their personal lives. Unlike many celebrities who keep family matters private, Will and Jada often shared their thoughts, challenges, and disagreements in public. That openness created a level of transparency that some fans appreciated, but it also invited intense scrutiny whenever controversies emerged. As more interviews and discussions surfaced over the years, people continued revisiting earlier statements from both Jada and Will, searching for clues about how their parenting philosophy developed. Some saw a family trying to break away from traditional rules and create a new approach. Others believed that certain boundaries may have been overlooked along the way. Regardless of where people stand, one thing is clear. Jada's admission that her own upbringing influenced her parenting added another layer to an already complicated story, and it remains a major part of the ongoing conversation surrounding the Smith family today. The public conversation around Will Smith and Jada Pinkett Smith became even more intense after the now famous entanglement controversy exploded across headlines and social media. For many fans, this was the moment when the family's private struggles became impossible to ignore. What had once been rumors and speculation suddenly turned into one of the most talked about celebrity stories in entertainment. At the center of the controversy was Jada's relationship with singer August Alsina, a situation that generated massive public attention after details became widely discussed online. The story quickly spread across news outlets, podcasts, YouTube channels, and social media platforms, with millions of people weighing in on what they believed had happened. Almost overnight, the situation became a cultural talking point that seemed impossible to escape. What made the controversy especially explosive was the connection between August and the Smith family. Because August had been publicly associated with the family and had spent time around them, many people viewed the situation through a very emotional lens. Critics argued that the circumstances raised uncomfortable questions, while supporters insisted that outsiders did not know the full story. The debate became highly polarized, with strong opinions coming from every direction. Then came the now famous discussion in which Jada addressed the situation. During that conversation, she described the relationship as an entanglement, a term that instantly took on its own life online. Memes flooded the internet, reaction videos appeared everywhere, and the phrase became one of the most recognizable celebrity catchphrases of the year. Even people who had not followed the story closely knew exactly what someone meant when they mentioned the entanglement. Despite the explanation, many viewers remained critical. Some felt the discussion did not fully address the concerns people had raised, while others believed the situation should have remained private from the beginning. For these critics, the controversy became part of a larger pattern they believed reflected deeper issues within the family's public image. As a result, public sympathy for Will and Jada appeared to decline among certain audiences. Supporters of Jada, however, argued that the situation was more complicated than internet commentary suggested. They pointed out that relationships, marriages, and personal struggles are often far more complex than what gets presented in headlines. According to this perspective, judging an entire situation based on limited public information can lead to oversimplified conclusions. That argument gained support from people who believed the public was rushing to judgment without knowing every detail. What cannot be denied is the impact the controversy had on public perception. Years later, people still reference the story whenever discussions about the Smith family emerge. The incident became one of the defining celebrity scandals of its era, generating countless reactions and continuing to fuel debates long after the initial headlines faded. For some observers, it changed how they viewed Will and Jada forever. For others, it simply highlighted the reality that even the most famous families can face personal challenges under the relentless spotlight of public attention. The controversy remains one of the most discussed chapters in the Smith family story, and its influence is still felt whenever their names make headlines today.
Because we all are coming into parenting with our own childhood traumas, and you can't. Your kids are going to have their burdens. And even though I see how it might have hurt you, it's what I knew.
As for Jaden, many fans and commentators have spent years debating how much of his public behavior was influenced by growing up in such an unusual environment. From a young age, he lived under a level of attention that very few people will ever experience. Every interview, every social media post, and every personal decision seemed to become a headline almost instantly. Because of that, many observers have wondered how growing up in the spotlight may have shaped his outlook on life and his relationship with his parents. One of the moments that sparked the most discussion came when reports surfaced that Jaden had expressed interest in becoming emancipated as a teenager. The story immediately grabbed public attention and led to endless speculation about what was happening behind the scenes. Some people viewed it as a sign of independence and maturity, while others saw it as evidence of tension within the family. As with many celebrity stories, the reality was likely more complex than the rumors circulating online. The situation fueled a larger conversation about Will Smith and Jada Pinkett Smith's parenting philosophy. Because they had openly discussed giving their children significant freedom and encouraging self-expression, critics argued that this approach may have contributed to some of the challenges the family later faced. Supporters, however, believe that allowing children to develop their own identities can be a positive thing, even if it sometimes leads to unconventional choices. The debate remains active today, with strong opinions on both sides. What made the discussion even more intense was the fact that the Smith family rarely avoided public conversations about personal matters. Unlike many celebrity families who keep private issues behind closed doors, Will and Jada often addressed difficult topics openly. While some fans appreciated that transparency, others felt it exposed the family to even greater scrutiny and criticism. Every new interview seemed to generate another wave of headlines and online reactions. Then another layer of controversy entered the picture. Over the years, various public figures and internet personalities have made claims about the Smith family that attracted significant attention online. Among them was Jaguar Wright, who became known for making a series of allegations about multiple celebrities and entertainment industry figures. Her comments spread rapidly across social media and became the subject of countless reaction videos, podcasts, and discussions. However, it's important to note that allegations made by public figures do not automatically mean they are true. Many of the claims that circulate online remain unverified, disputed, or unsupported by publicly available evidence. Despite that, controversial statements often gain traction because they involve famous names and generate strong emotional reactions from audiences. In today's media environment, speculation can spread incredibly fast, sometimes becoming a major story before facts are fully established.
I think it's important, in all honesty, for a daughter for your kids to have the opportunity to see their parents and listen to their parents talk about different stages of life.
The controversy didn't stop there. As more interviews and online discussions surfaced, Jaguar Wright continued sharing her opinions about the Smith family, and some of her comments generated major reactions across social media. Among the statements that attracted attention were her remarks about Jaden and Willow Smith. According to Jaguar, she felt sympathy for the two because of what she believed they may have experienced while growing up in a highly public and unconventional celebrity environment. Those comments quickly spread online and became another topic of heated debate. As often happens with celebrity stories, people immediately began taking sides. Some viewers felt Jaguar was raising questions that deserved discussion, while others argued that her comments were based on assumptions rather than verified facts. The disagreement quickly expanded beyond the original statement, turning into a much larger conversation about what life is really like for children raised in the entertainment industry. Growing up in a celebrity household is very different from growing up in a typical family setting. From an early age, children of major stars are often surrounded by cameras, media attention, industry events, and constant public interest. Every milestone can become news, and even personal struggles may end up being discussed by millions of strangers online. Because of that reality, many people believe celebrity children face unique challenges that most families never encounter. When people discuss Jaden and Willow specifically, they often point to the fact that both enter the spotlight at extremely young ages. Jaden starred in major films as a child, while Willow achieved music success before reaching adulthood. Their careers brought enormous attention, but they also came with tremendous expectations. Some observers believe those pressures may have shaped their experiences in ways that are difficult for outsiders to fully understand. Over the years, both Jaden and Willow have spoken publicly about the difficulties that can come with growing up famous. They have discussed issues related to identity, personal growth, public scrutiny, and the challenge of developing as individuals while millions of people are constantly watching. Those comments have fueled ongoing conversations about the emotional impact of childhood fame and whether young celebrities are sometimes exposed to pressures that arrive far too early in life. At the same time, many fans have defended the Smith family against some of the more dramatic claims circulating online. They argue that speculation often gets exaggerated once it reaches social media, and that assumptions should not be treated as facts. Supporters point out that while public figures may face criticism, it is important to separate verified information from rumors and personal opinions. What keeps the discussion alive is the mystery surrounding celebrity life itself. People are naturally curious about what happens behind the scenes in powerful and famous families. When public figures share only parts of their personal stories, audiences often fill in the gaps with theories and speculation. That dynamic has played a major role in keeping conversations about the Smith family active for years.
Weird things in their house, and young men have left their house screaming to get away from them in their mentorship. Meek Mills, Bashir Gray, left that house screaming. August, the only one that stayed, and I guess he was really sick. He needed a dog.
Hey, man. Hey, man.
And that was they kids' friend.
Another topic that often comes up when people discuss the Smith family is their connection to a private school that attracted significant public attention years ago. Many fans remember that Will Smith and Jada Pinkett Smith helped launch the New Village Leadership Academy, an educational project that was intended to offer a different approach to learning. At the time, the school was presented as a place where students could enjoy education in a more engaging and creative environment. When the academy opened in 2008, Will explained that the goal was to create a setting where children would be excited about learning, rather than feeling trapped in a traditional classroom system. The idea attracted attention because of the family's celebrity status, and many people were curious to see how the project would develop. With famous names attached to it, the school quickly became a topic of discussion in both education circles and entertainment media. However, the academy soon faced questions about its educational methods and possible connections to Scientology. Reports emerged that some staff members were Scientologists, and observers noticed references to study technology, a learning system developed by Scientology founder L. Ron Hubbard. Those details immediately sparked controversy and led to intense public scrutiny. Critics questioned whether the school was promoting ideas connected to Scientology, while supporters argued that using certain teaching methods did not automatically make the institution a religious school. As media coverage increased, the debate became more heated. Parents, educators, and commentators all weighed in with different opinions about the academy's approach. Some people expressed concerns about the curriculum, while others felt the criticism was exaggerated. Regardless of where individuals stood on the issue, the school became surrounded by controversy that extended far beyond its original educational mission. In June 2013, the academy closed its doors. No detailed public explanation was provided regarding the closure, which only fueled further speculation. Because questions had already been circulating about the school's methods and associations, many observers connected the shutdown to the growing criticism. Others pointed out that schools can close for many different reasons, including financial and operational challenges. Without a definitive public explanation, the debate has continued for years. Stories like this are often cited by people trying to understand the unique environment in which Jaden and Willow were raised. Growing up in a household where unconventional ideas, creative experimentation, and public attention were constant factors naturally led to strong opinions from both supporters and critics. Some people believe that environment encouraged independence and original thinking. Others argue it may have created challenges that most families never encounter. The conversation becomes even more intense when old interview clips involving the Smith family resurface online. Over the years, certain moments between family members have generated discussion among fans, with viewers interpreting them in very different ways. Some social media users have claimed that particular interactions appeared awkward or uncomfortable, while others insist those interpretations are unfair and based on brief clips taken out of context. It's important to separate speculation from facts. Public figures often have their behavior analyzed frame by frame, and viral clips can create narratives that may not reflect the full reality of a situation. While some fans continue debating various moments involving Will and Jaden, there is no shortage of differing opinions about what those clips actually show. As with many celebrity controversies, online discussions have often been driven more by interpretation and speculation than by verified information, keeping the debate alive long after the original moments occurred.
But Jaden's kind of MIA, and considering that he emancipated from their household at 16 and refused to come back even to do family interviews.
Yeah.
Willow's just kind of, she's dope. Too much happened in that house. Too much shit happened in that house. And meanwhile, I go to jail for defending my child, and these don't even get a CPS visit for the kind of shit they kids see.
As the discussion continues, some fans have pointed to various public moments involving Will Smith and Jaden Smith that generated strong reactions online. Certain clips have been shared repeatedly across social media, with viewers debating what they believe they show and whether people are reading too much into them. These moments have become a major part of the broader conversation surrounding the Smith family, especially among those who already have questions about their public image. For some critics, these clips contributed to concerns about boundaries and family dynamics. They argue that certain interactions appeared unusual or awkward when viewed in isolation. Others strongly disagree and believe that internet users often take short clips out of context, creating narratives that may not accurately reflect reality. As is often the case online, the same video can produce completely different interpretations depending on who is watching it. One reason these discussions continue attracting attention is because people naturally try to connect different events into a larger story. When someone looks at Jaden's unconventional public persona, his past comments about independence, his unique approach to fashion and identity, and the various controversies surrounding the family, it's easy to see why some viewers attempt to link everything together. Whether those connections are valid is another question entirely, and opinions remain sharply divided. Supporters of the Smith family argue that many of these conclusions rely heavily on speculation rather than facts. They point out that growing up in the spotlight can affect people in unexpected ways, and that public behavior does not always reveal what is actually happening behind the scenes. From this perspective, much of the discussion says more about internet culture and celebrity obsession than it does about the family itself. Critics, however, continue to raise questions about the environment Jaden experienced while growing up. They point to years of headlines, family controversies, public disagreements, and unusual parenting choices as reasons for their skepticism. To them, the family story contains enough unusual chapters to justify closer examination. Those differing viewpoints have kept debates alive for years and show no signs of disappearing anytime soon. At the center of it all remains Jaden Smith himself. Depending on who you ask, he is either a creative, free thinker who refuses to follow conventional expectations, or someone whose behavior reflects the challenges of growing up in an extraordinarily famous household. His supporters praise his willingness to express himself openly, while critics question many of his choices and public statements. That divide has followed him throughout much of his career. The reality is that celebrity culture often creates more questions than answers. Public figures live under constant scrutiny, and every interview, photograph, or social media post can become part of a much larger narrative. Over time, rumors, theories, facts, and opinions often become blended together, making it difficult to separate what is confirmed from what is merely speculation. That's why stories like this continue generating so much attention. People remain fascinated by Hollywood families, especially when those families challenge expectations and become the subject of controversy. Whether viewers believe the explanations offered by critics, supporters, or somewhere in between, the debate surrounding Jaden, Will, and Jada remains one of the most talked about celebrity discussions online. And judging by the endless stream of reactions across social media, that conversation isn't ending anytime soon.